It happened. The Packers did it, Ben. What did they do? I saw the news today. They unloaded some more baggage. Bounced it off the yacht or whatever they were, the train, wherever they were. Threw it out the van. Got rid of some baggage. It wasn't nearly worth the hype, the trouble, the money, nothing. Jaire Alexander, see ya.
It's almost pathetically sad that two schmo idiots like us called this the summer before he got his big fat deal, and they gave him this big fat deal, and they gave Rasul Douglas a barely squeezed 3-year, $8 million or whatever he got per year. Where
3-year, 21.
And 3-year, 21. Not even $8 million. Right.
Yeah. He got 3 times as much.
3 times as much. And then I don't know if everybody remembers, but they talked to Rasul Douglas at OTAs or minicamp or whatever, right after they both signed. And they asked him, what is it like to know that you're going to be playing with the top cornerback in the league and what you guys can do together? And he was like, well, that's what they say. He didn't say he was the top cornerback in the league. He didn't say, yeah, it's great, I get to play with him. He just said, yeah, well, I guess that's what everybody says, that he's the best corner in the league. But
and people are still saying it.
I don't understand it. How can a guy who never plays be any...
34 games in the last 4 years. 34 games since he signed that contract. Or since they decided to give him that contract, sorry. 30 games since he signed the contract.
That's really sad.
30 games, $84 million. Well, they saved a little bit. So maybe not $84 million total, but they paid him because they got rid of him now. But a bunch of millions, 60-some million that they at least paid him. 70 million probably, right? Based on what they saved. Close to that. Almost $70 million for 30 games. How's that? And the dude just doesn't impact the game. I mean, I don't understand. This is my thing. I mean, we've talked about this before. I know everybody says whatever Nico says, all I do is talk about how much Jaire's not good. It's just because everybody keeps thinking he is. I don't know why. It's one of those things. A lot of times you got to say it a bunch of times before people get the message or remember it or believe it. I don't know why that is the case. When you show them proof and you give them facts and numbers and information like we've done before. But the thing with him is he just doesn't impact the game. What does he do? And then he's not available. And it's like, what makes you think he's so good? Like, granted, I haven't watched every cornerback in the NFL closely. I don't know I have an idea about who some of the top cornerbacks are. I haven't watched all their plays like I watch all the Packers plays. But I watch the Packers plays, and I know he's not even the best cornerback on the team. So how is he one of the best cornerbacks in the league if he's not even the best cornerback on the team in a position group where now people think they're weak?
Right.
I don't get it.
So I think we need to address the situation from we knew this was going to happen.
Mark Murphy had a great quote that said it all on top of the other teams in the NFL saying it all too, right?
Yeah, nobody wanted him. Now they might want him now for like $2 million a year or for a 1 year, $2 million deal or some crap like that. I mean, it's very similar to, but not quite, because the difference of this is this: Jaire was a first round pick who did make plays during his initial 3 seasons. Okay. His first 3 seasons, he sort of made plays every now and again. And he worked hard and he practiced, and he didn't get any interceptions, but he did tackle a little bit, and he was cocky and he was, flamboyant and all this stuff. So he was a fan favorite, and those are all understandable things. But I kind of compare it to Josh Myers. I don't think anybody wants him. The Packers keep telling you how good he is. The reporters keep telling you about how good he is.
Oh boy.
But then when you watch the film and you're like, what? How is he good when he's getting schooled by old cruddy wide receivers? Or when he's getting schooled? Remember the Bears game
Yeah.
where he made St. Brown look like a superstar. I was like, that used to be on our team, right? The guy who couldn't do anything. Equanimous St. Brown, who couldn't do jack shit against anybody on the Packers team with Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball. He looked like a superstar against Jaire Alexander with, who was it, like Scrubzilla, Justin Fields throwing him the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we talking about? So I think it's going to be similar. Josh Myers went to the Giants or wherever the hell he went, signing for like a piece of gum. And Jaire's going to go somewhere signing for a piece of gum. Now, there might be a lot of incentives after that piece of gum if he actually plays, but I think that's the only way you'll get him to do it.
You're right. The only way you'll get him to play.
He's not bought into a team.
Absolutely not.
Even
or
when
football,
even when he screws up or when somebody does well against him, he says, they're not good. I screwed up.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I'm the best corner in the world.
Yeah.
Which makes no sense. How many times Justin Jefferson, he's like, oh, Jefferson's not good. I screwed up and let him have it. Like, well, that means you suck then. Because if he's not good and you let him look good, then you suck.
You cannot argue with the lack of production, like what he's actually accomplished in his career. You cannot argue with the fact that the NFL, other teams, even though the Packers polished him up the best they could and rebuilt all the stuff and kept telling you he's an elite player. He's just injured sometimes and yada, yada, yada. Nobody wanted to make a move for the guy. So they got to just release him, flat out release him. And you also can't cover up or speak against the fact that it was reported the Packers offered him a restructured deal. And with he incentives. Was like, no.
With incentives.
Yeah, right. A chance to earn his money back, probably.
Chance
right?
to earn the money that he's already, like the top dollar money that he is there. Yeah. It was a chance to earn that top dollar money. It was very similar to like the Preston Smith restructure last year, where they restructured him, made it so that, hey, if you hit these benchmarks, you will make the money that you're expected to be making, you know? But it's obvious Jaire doesn't want to buy in, doesn't want to work hard, doesn't want to play.
Well, that
takes himself out of games. He played 7 plays against the Bears and took himself out of the game. Now, when Anthony Richardson took himself out of a game in the middle of a drive, everybody went crazy because he was too tired to keep playing. And he took himself out of the drive, and everybody went nuts about it. Jaire comes in, plays 7 plays, but because he's a corner and it's not as big, high-profile position, I'm assuming. The national media doesn't say nothing about it because it's a cornerback. Who cares? But what I'm saying is the guy doesn't, like, you see who you are based on when you get money, right? He got the money, and as soon as he got the money, he did the Devondre Campbell routine, which is, well, I don't like it when people say bad things about me. So if I'm not 100% able to play at my 100% best, then I'm not going to play because they're just going to say bad things about me. But I'm still going to take my big fat check. No, screw you. We talked about it last week when Devin McCourty said, when I was beating him on the highest paid free safeties, I had to adjust my game. It wasn't even my best game. Bill Belichick told me I had to play someplace else other than where I could have been best because my team needed that because I was expected to do it as a top paid player and a leader. And Jaire wouldn't even play his own position, much less move to another position to look good or play a little bit injured or a little bit hurt instead of injured.
Yeah.
And that's what caused rifts with Matt LaFleur, who would get always pissy and moany during press conferences when Jason Willie would ask him, well, it's Jaire Alexander. What's with Jaire Alexander? And LaFleur would just get all crabby and pissy about it because he doesn't know, because he knows the medical staff is probably saying, yeah, he can play. And then Jaire's like, oh, I just can't go. And then they suit him up for games. Right. Or they put him on the active roster for game day roster, and then he doesn't suit up for the game. That happened once last year too. How can you count on that?
You can't. When you can't count on somebody, especially in any atmosphere, but especially in a team sport. I mean, the detriment. Like he was suspended the one game for conduct detrimental to the team, but he could have been suspended a number of times for conduct detrimental to the team. Because when you're suiting up and then not playing or limping along and, going along this whole time, they think you're going to play, then I just can't go today. And you're on the active roster, you take up a spot, and that's one less person they have. That's also detrimental to the team. It's just like And when you look at football, if anyone's ever, I don't even care what level you play at. It could be high school. No one's 100% after you play a few games. Nobody. You know why? Because people hit each other, and football is a physical sport, and you're going to get beat up, and you're going to get bruised up, and you're going to have some muscle strains, and you're going to have some other stuff, and you're going to have all kinds of things happening, right? But if you can play and play pretty well, and especially at such a depleted position, my goodness, you need to be in there then, because you at 80% has got to be better than all these garbage guys they have, right? Right? I don't know. I don't get it. I don't understand. Currently, I'm finally thankful the Packers made the move. I understand their move. I did want to say that about what Mark Murphy said. I thought it was pretty funny. And then I have something to kind of throw at you here and just for people to consider. But so Mark Murphy in the announcement comes through, he says the general blanket statement. We thank him for everything he's done, blah, blah, blah. Great player is just often injured and yada, yada, yada. Well, in this order in this article, they're talking about over the past 2 years, he's only played in 14 regular season games.
Not completed 14 regular season games.
Right.
Played in.
Right.
And we know for a fact there was at least 2 games for sure where he came out super early, and another one where he held up lip and almost a game-sealing touchdown that he gave up.
Right. He says, well, first of all, Mark Murphy's quote, he's been a great player for us. It's debatable. Actually, not debatable. It's not true, but whatever. Obviously, an elite talent, which maybe, he's definitely talented, fine, but undersized. So when you take talent and undersized, it doesn't make him as good. Then he says, but, unfortunately, just injured a lot. It's kind of unfortunate. That's a big part of the game. Well, yeah, obviously, availability. As McCarthy always said, your most important ability is availability. Then they're talking about the Packers being thin and what does this do for their guys moving forward. So they have Keyshawn, then they have Nate Hobbs, and they have Carrington Valentine, Kalen King, and then Micah Robinson, who they just drafted here. Those are kind of the top guys in the room. Murphy said the team is confident in its ability to fill the hole created by Alexander's release, which this is a funny quote and actually a very telling quote. And he said, as they've had to play many games without him over the past 2 years, I feel pretty good, Murphy said, of the team absorbing his departure. I think Keyshawn Nixon, what a great story, undrafted and an all-pro returner. The reality is for the last 4 years for Jaire, it's about half of the games that he's been able to play. So we kind of have been used to it.
That's all I need to say. We've been used to it. As fans, we've been used to him not being there. What's the hell is the difference?
Yeah.
The difference is they wisened up.
Right.
They gave him a contract that allowed them to cut him with 2 years left on the deal and save money in the long run. Unlike with Dave Bakhtiari, where they had to sit and wait until the last year where they could finally cut him and save some money. And, well, actually, I think they restructured him a couple times to make it look better, but that was even worse. But the bottom line is, I don't know why these teams give money to these players, because it appears to me when they get the money, they're done. They don't want to practice. Look at Elton Jenkins gets his days off. Kenny Clark gets his days off. Rashawn Gary, I think, works hard. I'll give him that.
Mm-hmm.
But the other guys who are being paid like top 5, 10 players at their positions on this team, which would be those Jordan Love, Elton Jenkins, now Banks, who knows what he's like. Hopefully he's good. I don't know.
He looks big out there. We know that.
Well, we know that. But, we can look at, for fans who are shocked, or I don't know what to say. I guess they're not. No one's probably shocked because we've been talking about this for 5 months now. But Goody, whenever he talks about players, he always says, well, we want to get all of our guys back. We want all of our guys back. And when asked about Jaire, after the season was done, he said, yeah, we got to figure out some stuff. He didn't say, oh, yeah, we want him back. He said, we got to figure out what's best for the team. That's what he said. When Jeff Hafley was asked, hey, wouldn't it be great to have Jaire on your team and how great of a talent he is, or blah, 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 not only did he not say anything about his talent or anything about his work ethic or anything about him as a player at all. He just said, that's kind of a hypothetical. I don't talk about hypotheticals, even though he's actually on the roster at the time that he was being interviewed. I think Jeff Hafley is not a Jaire guy.
Yeah.
And I think Goody finally decided to eat some crow and say, you know what, my first round pick, my first ever first round pick that I kind of screwed up, and I gave him a bunch of money, and he's kind of a flake and a weirdo. Jeff Hafley's come in and proven to me like he knows what he's talking about. And even though, and I feel these things as a general manager, like I can't trust Jaire. And now having the new defensive head coach, or he's not head coach, but he should be. Anyways, defensive coach, who I think also feels similar to you and me, where he's just not the player that he's been advertised as.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe Hafley was talking to Goody and was like, listen, we don't need him. He's like, I need a corner who can not only cover, but can also tackle.
Mm-hmm.
I need a corner who's willing, when we play zone, because we're going to play 4-man rush with zone behind it a lot of the times, be able to read and react and attack. This guy doesn't read, react, or attack. He does none of those things. He can sometimes cover a guy and run around a little bit. He can break off his guy to make a play once in a blue moon. He does that every now and again. But he doesn't follow the system. He doesn't read and react like I need players to do. Now, we know who does? Rasul Douglas. You know who's still out there? Rasul Douglas.
That's what I thought of today. I was like,
just saying.
Would they do it?
So, but that's the only thing I would say to Packer fans. If they're worried about the hole, if they're worried about, and I know Jason and I are not Jaire fans. I was a Jaire fan. You can go back and watch some of our earlier shows. I said Jaire was one of my favorite players on the team. At the same time, Jason said Aaron Rodgers was his favorite player on the team. So two people can be wrong about things and also be right about things eventually by seeing the truth. And if you love the player and you can see the truth now, like me and like Jason saw about Rodgers and I see about Jaire, that just goes to show you how you can improve as a team, right? So I think that's the key things right there is it's a headache. It's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Hafley can run his team the way he wants without having this weird distraction guy who's going to do whatever he wants and just screw up everything. Like when you're playing defense, you need all the guys to know what's going on. All the guys got to play together. Unless you have a system where like one guy is the crazy guy who makes plays, right? Like the Steelers when they had Troy Polamalu or, something like that. Or like Ray Lewis was the crazy guy with the Ravens, right? Like they let everybody else, you do your thing. Ray Lewis, you could read and react and go crazy, right? And Ed Reed, you're in the back, you're smart, you can read things, blah, blah, blah. But with the Jeff Hafley thing, everybody's kind of cool and relaxed. Everybody's got to be able to adjust and make plays based on what they're seeing and work as a team so there's no holes. And I think Jeff Hafley probably told Goody, like, listen, I think we're better off without him. I don't have to worry about the distraction. I don't have to worry about the fans wondering why he's not on the field when I don't want to play him. I think Hafley didn't want him. And Goody's like, you know what? I'll follow you.
I mean, it's also Hafley talks a lot about wanting to play fast and physical. Yep. He's neither of those things. And then the other thing is part of playing fast is anticipating and reacting quickly. And he's not good at that. Like you said, he's kind of good at times, like sticking with a guy. But he's not good at zone coverage. He's not physical. He doesn't tackle people. He doesn't come up and make plays. So, and they also talk about wanting to take the ball away. Well, he doesn't do that either, except for one season where he had 5, interceptions, whatever. But there's some lucky ones that your guys just threw it up to him and it was pretty easy. So here's the thing, right? Here's the other thing that people will wig out about, and they'll talk about he's a 2-time All-Pro, second-team All-Pro, and a 2-time Pro Bowler. And oh my gosh, you listen to the national people talk about this, and this is why national people drive me a little bonkers, because they just don't know the team. They just don't know the player on this team like we would, because we're Packer fans and we see him and we watch him and we know it. So they're like, oh my gosh, he's still one of the best players at his position in the league. Well, it says who? Like, what are you basing that on? It's certainly not based on numbers. It's certainly not based on production. It's certainly not based on availability. It's certainly not based on pretty much anything. So why is that statement being made over and over again by countless shows and countless people in the national media and podcast world? Because they're just going by default off of stuff that's been said, stuff that's been said by the Packers, been reiterated, stuff that's been said by other people. Then we also remember, right? people wigged out, and they said when the Packers traded Clinton Dix away, that's a Pro Bowl safety. How can you trade a Pro Bowl safety off your team? Oh my gosh. Well, because he wasn't very good. And the Packers knew he wasn't very good, and pretty much everybody else knew he wasn't very good except for Washington. But they didn't even give up much to get him, right? If I recall.
No, and then the Bears also didn't know either because they signed him in free agency after that.
Yeah, well, because they're the Bears. But so the thing is, this is with Jaire, it's a similar thing. They tried to trade him. Nobody wanted him for that price tag. Maybe somebody will pick him up. But now people are like, this is big news. This is a big deal.
That's like because there's nothing going on.
Someone's going to pick him up, and he's going to really help out some other team. You said you liken this to Josh Myers. I liken this to Zadarius Smith. It's the same. He might come in. He might make a play or two or a little splash on the scene initially, but then he's going to be himself after a few games, after a little bit, and he'll fade away, or he'll be injured, or he won't make plays, or he'll shy away from tackles like we saw over and over and over again, and ultimately cost that team what they thought they were going to be able to do. So if you were someone, what are you concerned about as a Packer fan if you're really concerned about the situation? You're concerned about, oh my gosh, what are we going to do without this guy? Well, we've been basically without him most of the last 4 years anyway, so we know what we're going to do. We're just going to play these other guys, and they're going to be fine. And then your other concern is, oh my gosh, what if he goes to some other team and is just awesome? That's not going to happen, guys. It might be Zadarius Smith-ish, but that's it. He's not going to go somewhere and be awesome for 4 or 5 years or anything like that. He's not going to be awesome for 1 year. He'll be like a bunch of the other first-round picks that the Packers finally realized weren't nearly as good as they thought they were. And when they gave up on him, they went somewhere else. And what did they do? Nothing. Disappeared from the league after a short period of time because they weren't as good as the Packers built them to be. And everybody thought all the Packer fans thought they were because the Packers kept hyping them up left and right. That's what's going to happen.
Nick Perry. It's interesting. You bring up Zadarius because I was listening to Wilde and Tausch today, and Wilde brought up, I don't remember this play, but apparently there was a pivotal play in the Packers home game against the 49ers in the playoffs that they lost on the special teams gaffes.
Mm-hmm. 13 to 10.
Where Deebo Samuel could have been tackled by either Zadarius Smith or Jaire Alexander, and neither of them either could or would tackle him to stop a certain drive that led to points and led to the Packers losing. Mm-hmm. And it was a big play, apparently. And I don't remember this play, but Wilde brought it up today. And it's interesting that it was those two players who didn't play all year, and they brought them back for the playoff game, and they cost them in the long run. If they would have just left with the guys they had been playing with all that time, because those two guys weren't playing at the end of the year when the Packers made that run, and got the home game against the 49ers in the playoffs in the cold. But they went and started them instead, and it cost us. Actually, I don't think Jaire started that game, but I think he was in there after a while.
Oh, he did start. And actually, that same play, I believe, Eric Stokes also had a chance to tackle. I think it was all three of those guys. And I think that was a fourth down on the last drive the 49ers had to ultimately go up in the football game. And the Packers had a chance to stop him. And those three guys, it was fourth down. Deebo had the ball. Somebody needed to tackle him. Jaire and Stokes were unblocked completely on that play.
Yes.
Unblocked. Zadarius, I can't remember if he
was probably blocked. He was blocked by a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Somebody. The classic Zadarius.
But yeah, we saw that stuff all the time with him. Mark Azier says way better off without him. Yes. David, hey David, good to see you.
David.
Look, that's ultimately the test. The things that speak very loudly are the league's evaluation of this player outside of Green Bay. And nobody wanted him that bad. Number one, because the Packers tried for a long time to trade him and they just couldn't get any partners. And the other thing is, what are you really missing out on? Not much. It's just the same. You got to part ways with some of these guys. You can go back. You mentioned Nick Perry. I mean, there's countless guys. Nick Perry, Brian Bulaga when they finally let him go. Like
Darnell Savage.
Yeah, just all these first rounders that they thought, they hyped up and they're like, oh yeah, well, they're good. They're going to be good. I mean, the same thing will happen with Van Ness. The same thing would have happened with Rashawn Gary. I know he's still on the team, but what were they going to do somewhere else? What were they going to do? A bunch of these Packers go somewhere else who were high picks, who never panned out. And when the Packers finally give up on them, they just disappear from the league. And that's what's going to happen with this guy.
You know, Mark, that one good year he had was actually matched by a better year by Rasul Douglas in less games. Just so you know. They had the same amount of interceptions that year, except Rasul Douglas single-handedly won like 3 games on his interceptions.
And Rasul, that one year that they said was a down year for Rasul was Jaire's other all-pro season. And Jaire had way more tackles, only one less interception, but Rasul had just as many turnover plays because Jaire had his 5 picks that year, and Rasul had 1 forced fumble. And I think a fumble recovery too. His 2019 was good, right? We'll just say that. His 2019 was good. His 2020 was when he got the Pro Bowl, his first Pro Bowl in AP All-Pro. He didn't make nearly as many plays, but he was very good in coverage that year. So that's part of between like 2019 being good and then the 2020 follow-up. That's why he got those recognitions in 2020. But then 2021, it was 4 games, guys, and then he's out. And then the Packers give him a crap ton of money. And then he comes back and he plays all 16 games, but wasn't nearly as good as you thought. And in the last 2 years, 7 games each season. And when he was in there, remember in 2023, when he was in there, he was getting torched. He was getting torched left and right. And that's one of the reasons why all of a sudden he was done. And then last year, who knows? I mean, you couldn't count on the guy. So when you can't count on people, they're certainly not worth big contracts. And most of the times they're not really worth a roster spot. Because if you can't count on the people you got on your team, come on, man.
So what do you think? I mean, we're going to find out what the league thinks of him based on where he goes, who signs him, and so forth. Fans who are concerned for him to go to the Vikings or the Lions or the Bears, do not be concerned. No. Matter of fact, if he does go there, Matt LaFleur should just call running plays that go directly at him nonstop. Go and put Malik Heath out there if he's still on the team and have him pretend like he's going to block him. And Jaire will shrink like a little baby, and Josh Jacobs can run right over him, and we'll get 20 yards every play. Even Josh Jacobs can get 20 yards against Jaire, which is saying something. Because normally to get 20 yards, Josh Jacobs got to break 5 tackles. But with Jaire, you don't have to break a tackle because Jaire doesn't try to tackle. No. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Just run at him. If a team is, even if he is a good corner and a team is willing to put him on the field, run at him.
Yeah.
Same thing with Zadarius Smith. When he's in the game,
right,
all he wants to do is pass rush. So run right at him. He doesn't even have any awareness of where the ball is. He just wants to get to the quarterback. That's all you got to do. Now, will teams be smart enough to do that? Will Matt LaFleur be smart enough to call running plays against Jaire? I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
But that's a whole nother thing. But
right,
as far as teams who are afraid, we'll see what happens. We'll see if he goes somewhere. We'll see if he gets a pretty decent contract or if he just gets nothing. I'm assuming it's going to be if nobody wants to trade for him, it'll be a 1-year incentive-laden crappy deal to prove himself. And my guess is he won't prove himself.
Yeah, he's got quite a bit of money already,
Yeah.
And he's clearly, I mean, it's interesting that he's never, I mean, he's never really been about football, right? He doesn't love football. He's not about the team. He's not about any of that stuff. He's about money. And this was a way he could make money and, get some accolades and whatever. And occasionally, right, he'll make a play and then he makes people remember that he made the play. And that's why people think he's so great or whatever. Because even some of these people today were like, oh my gosh, well, I bet oh my gosh, Justin Jefferson and Amon-Ra St. Brown and these other guys aren't going to be sad that he's not on the Packers anymore. Oh my gosh, they're not going to be missing the fact that he's not there to cover them and blah blah blah. And I was like, come on, man. The players in the league know too, and the GMs just proved you they know. And it's I thought it was comical that some people thought, oh, he's going to go to Philly. Like, are you kidding me? Philly ain't gonna, what would they want him for?
They already got like every good corner in the last 2. Like they drafted 2 awesome corners last year that the Packers could have had either one of them with 2 different picks, and they passed them like idiots.
But somebody did raise I did see the perfect match is the Cowboys. Jaire is the perfect Cowboy. He should have been a Dallas Cowboy from the jump. He fits in great there. Shrinks when the thing becomes the biggest, when the games become the biggest, he shrinks. Shies away from stuff, loud and proud if he makes a play, all about the glitz and glam, and then So anyway.
I think we've hashed on him for long enough.
Yep.
Let's talk about this. So there's the $46 million under the salary cap right now.
Zach Tom, are we getting it?
That's what I'm saying. Like a lot of people Wildy and Tausch were talking today. I listened to their show and they talked about Goody used the word urgency early on in the offseason. He talked about how everybody needs to play with urgency and develop and blah, blah, blah. And Mark Tauscher's calling for Goody to be urgent. With $46 million, will they go and do something? Now, some people in the comments mentioned, not our comments, but in their comments, mentioned trading for, since all this money they have now, they could trade for Hendrickson from the Bengals. Please don't. He's not that good. He's not what you think he is. He's not a game-changing player. Now, TJ Watt is a game-changing player. I would trade for TJ Watt. I would
Maybe
do
he
that.
wants to get away from Aaron Rodgers.
He surely does now. But the other thing, as we all know as Packer fans, is we have quite a few players whose contracts are up after this year. And they're important players, especially on offense. And we have another one who's actually all of them. I mean, from Quay Walker, who did not get the fifth-year option, so his contract's up after this year.
Right.
Zach Tom, Sean Ryan, Rasheed Walker, Christian Watson, Romeo Dobbs, like Kingsley Enagbare, which I think is going to be gone, obviously. We know that because he's not – I mean, they just drafted two guys at pass rusher in the draft, so Kingsley Enagbare might not even make the team this year, considering how many guys they have on the team at this point. But I would rather see a contract extension for Zach Tom at this point than some kind of crazy trade a second-round pick for a 30-year-old pass rusher is he that much better than Rashawn Gary at this point? Like, I mean, maybe TJ Watt can make a difference, but he has been hurt the last year a lot. So do we need that too? Another guy who's hurt all the time? I don't know. I would rather make sure that the guys that we have, we get ahead of that big, huge contract, right? Like if we could save a couple $1,000,000 by signing Zach Tom to an extension now, as opposed to waiting until after the year's done or near the end of the season, and we have to try to sign him back for a big honking deal when all of a sudden the money spikes up a little bit more for the right tackle or whatever position he's going to be playing. And we all know Elton Jenkins is cranky and doesn't want to be there until he gets more money and whatever.
He wants something guaranteed, right? Because right now he's got nothing guaranteed, and he's worried about switching to center, and centers don't get paid as much as guards. And
he's guaranteed for this year. He's just not guaranteed for next year or the year after. He's got 2 more years on his deal, and he has. And that's what he's worried about. But I don't think he's worth that much. But yeah, whatever.
Because he's set to make $18.5 million next year, and
I know.
So if they and they could cut him and be just fine if they don't think he's worth that at center, and he's worried he's going to lose a bunch of money that way and just get axed out. So I get that, but like Rob Domofsky I was checking out some of his reporting with these really two high voice guys on the radio. Seems like a thing. Maybe we should get back on the radio, you and me. But anyway, so he was like talking about how that was the thing with Jenkins. And how he said a lot of these players, and the Packers have done kind of extended deals. They usually don't get them done before the season. They might get them done like partway through the season, like October, November, or something like that. Because then the market still hasn't elevated, but then they've at least seen this player get through. They didn't get injured or whatever, and then they didn't already commit to him. And then, the injury happens during that same season or early in that season, and then they kind of lose him. So, that they might do that with Zach Tom. I kind of hope with all of this cap space that they don't mess around and just do it. Like the guy's done everything they've ever asked of him. He's saved their butts time and time again, right? I mean, he's been our silent but deadly player more than anybody. He's the most frequent silent but deadly player because he just plays well wherever they stick him, and wherever they need him, he plugs the hole and, performs. So I know like LaFleur was talking about his versatility and how he's kind of, found a home at right tackle, but they still feel like if they need to, they could plug him in anywhere. So, I mean, what is that guy worth to you? He's got to be worth more than just the position he's playing, then I would say right now, if you feel like you could literally, if you got in a pinch, you could plug him in somewhere else if you needed to, then he's got more value than your standard right tackle would. So let's give him a fair contract. And also, he showed up, right? He knows he's getting paid like what, fifth round, fourth rounder money or whatever. And a lot of people were like, well, is he going to show up? Blah, blah, blah. And he showed up at OTAs and he said he knew it was important to be there for the team. And that's why he came. Those are the guys you want to keep on your team. So they need to step it up there. They got plenty of money. They got to step it up. And then they got to evaluate these players, like you're saying. Like, basically, the question comes to this. Do you feel like, first of all, you can't overhaul all these positions? You're going to sign some of these guys. You need to. Because you can't get that many more new players in just based on the draft and everything else. So you hopefully have a good read on what these guys are, where if they're kind of at their peak, reach their potential. Is their potential starter worthy? Is that, where you need to, invest in them and stuff? Should you keep them around? And hopefully they make those decisions and start giving the right guys the money, because is Sean Ryan worth another contract? Do you think you're going to find a better option currently on your roster that you could develop, or are you going to draft a better option next year? I don't want you to go sign another free agent guard for a whole bunch of money, because that doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. Because you could probably
didn't make any sense this time.
You could get Sean Ryan for not that much, I'm guessing, right? Like a fair contract.
All I know is, if I'm Sean Ryan, I'm looking at Banks' contract and I'm like, hey, like, look at my numbers. They're as good as his. Like, I would be expecting that much money.
Okay. Woo.
If I'm Zach Tom, I'm looking at the contract and I'm like, I should be making way more than that guy.
Oh, shoot.
And you went out and paid some guy off the street. You know what my work ethic is. You know how I work hard and I'm here and I'm doing my thing. I mean, Zach Tom's going to want the bank. And he should, because he's worth it. And he's the guy, hopefully, I'm assuming, will not tank it like Jaire and David Bakhtiari and those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Bakhtiari was injured, blah, 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 blah. I know. But he took all the money that he certainly could.
You're right. But Bakhtiari was a very good player for quite a long time before the injuries hit. He was a guy that earned that contract for sure. And then, it was unfortunate. Now, should have been more of a stand-up dude, and like after a year or two been like, let's just make an arrangement here to end this deal, and give you guys some of your money back, and I'll just make a settlement here because I can't come back. He should have done that a year earlier. But then he finalized his time with the they and they're going to suck and all that stuff. And then the Packers knew he was out, because once you start using they and their and them language on a team that you're a part of and supposed to be a part of, then the team knows that you're out. You don't see yourself as part of the team anymore.
Yep. He played one game against the Bears and never played again.
Yeah.
After he said those words.
So what does Quay Walker get? Or what does he think he should get?
I don't know. I don't even know what Quay Walker is.
He's a first round pick
I know that.
What? He had over 100 tackles his first year right away. He played a bunch of games. He missed a little time. He played pretty well, in his second season. And then last year was kind of in and out. Not impressive enough to the team that they felt like they wanted to take the fifth-year option. They're basically giving him a trial year to see if they want to offer him another contract. I mean, I'm sure they're looking at the weight Edgerrin Cooper has gained and hoping that maybe he could take over that spot if need be. And they could just let Walker walk and then get somebody else in there at the other linebacker. But I don't know. I mean, he's got a lot to play for this year. You have these younger players that should be pretty motivated to perform this year, between the receivers, between, some of the offensive linemen, like you said, with Sean Ryan, Quay Walker, Devontae Wyatt. Like, what is he doing? Like,
well, he's got it. He's under contract for 2 more years yet.
I know, but show me something, Devontae Wyatt. Like, what are we
And he's
doing
also
here?
older.
Yeah. He's
by
only
the
going to
time-
get one more contract, right?
He ain't. I'm telling. I don't know. I mean, here's the thing. He's
Oh.
like, he'll get another contract, but it won't be what he's thinking it's going to be unless he really shows out in the next 2 years. Because he was 24 when they drafted him, so he's going into this year. He's 28.
Right. Wow.
Where Quay Walker, I think, was only 21 when they drafted him. So he's going in. He's only 25. So he's got potential to be something special, right? And that's. See, and I know I hate the Goody draft philosophy of let's draft this guy who's super young and got all the physical skills but doesn't know how to play football, so that when we have him for cheap, he's not good. And then when he starts to become good, then we pay him a crap ton of money, even though he hasn't really proven that he's that good. And he could be good, but we're not sure. That's the Goody draft philosophy. It doesn't help you win games, though. No. It might help you find a really good player eventually, but by the time you find him, your roster's full of a bunch of young guys who don't know how to play football. What good is that? I don't know.
It doesn't win you games. Did I hear that this is what Kenny Clark's 10th season or 11th season?
Yeah, he's like 29 or something.
And he's not, what did he start playing with the Packers when he was like 19 or 18?
I don't know.
What the hell? That's crazy.
And he's been bad for the last 5 years. Oh, snapperoni. Did I say that? Yeah, I did.
So Devontae Wyatt's almost as old as Kenny Clark?
Yes.
Wow. That's weird.
It is very weird.
That's weird. Look, you're right, though. The Packers got to pay some dudes, and they got to make these calls. And hopefully they don't wait till the season's all up, because they need to understand the guys they want to keep on the team. Hopefully before we use this money, before anything else changes in the market for these dudes, because you could be having to overpay guys then. And haven't they seen the teams that didn't learn those lessons? I mean, look
Dallas
how much money.
Cowboys, Bengals.
They shelled out a lot of dough for a couple players, right? I mean, a lot of dough. And the Bengals, that much for 2 receivers? Holy crap. Whew. That's a lot.
Yeah.
So Packers can't afford to do that, clearly, because they got too many other things to figure out. All right. Well, you may have heard Aaron Rodgers inked it. He finally graced the Steelers with his official presence and signature. And
he's so graceful.
His physical. He's on the Steelers. What a guy.
What a guy. Remember all those years when he wouldn't take a pay cut and wanted to be the highest paid guy, and then
just all his years in Green Bay.
Yeah. And then he went to the Jets and took a $30 million pay cut. And then he went to the Steelers for $13 million. What a guy. So the team that drafted him and paid him a bunch of money and treated him like royalty, he said, F you. Yeah. And now that he's at the end of the career, but there's nobody who even wants him. Now, of course, he has to take the crappy deals because he knows nobody wants him. The Jets were the only team that wanted to trade for him back 2 years ago, and the Steelers are the only team who wants him now. And that's sad. That's really sad. And now he's going to probably end Mike Tomlin's coaching career with the Steelers.
Hold on. I think they're all right. So here's the thing. People are saying, again, this is national media people saying, some of them, Aaron Rodgers makes the Steelers significantly better. He's a better option at quarterback than Mason Rudolph.
Okay, fine. But how do you think it's going to work? Is he going to listen to Mustache Guy? You know that Mustache Guy is his offensive coordinator right now.
Yeah.
The guy who followed Matt LaFleur as the offensive coordinator of the Tennessee Titans and then went to the Atlanta Falcons to be their head coach and then got freaking axed last year and went to the Steelers halfway through the year or whatever to be their offensive coordinator. That's right. It's Mustache Man, who does not have a lot of clout in the NFL. You think Rodgers is going to listen to him? And Mike Tomlin is not an offensive guy.
No.
He's not even a defensive guy. He's a special teams guy.
He's a guy.
So who do you think is going to be running that team and running that offense?
They don't have a proven running back who's going to call for the ball.
Well, they got a pretty good running back.
No, he is talented, but he's never been a workhorse running back. He's not a guy that's got a big reputation. He's not going to call for the ball all the time. So Rodgers will just get to throw it as many times as he wants. And I'm guessing he's just going to be like, DK, just run all goes all the time, and I'll just chuck it up there. As long as you're by the sideline, I'll throw it up there, and you go jump up and get it. And
I
then
will
go
say
out of
this.
bounds.
I got a feeling that will be a scary combo. I think
Well, yeah.
Rodgers and DK Metcalf, a 6'4" monstrosity of a man who can speed and jump higher than crap. Rodgers will chuck that crap up to him a whole bunch. And they'll either be completed or incomplete out of bounds. And he'll do that. He'll work the sidelines with them. And corners are going to have a hard time dealing with it.
He'll have a very low yak, but he'll probably have a bunch of balls thrown his way. Yes. He'll probably have 150 targets or more, and who knows, bunch of yards.
But also, I don't know what the Steelers' offensive line is. I don't know if they're that great or not. So, I mean,
they're supposed to be pretty bad.
Okay, well, then he might be screwed because he's pretty bad when he's behind bad offensive lines, or he gets hurt right away after 4 plays, gets hurt for the whole season with the Jets. No. But we'll see. We're going to see him week 8, Sunday Night Football. Not in Lambeau. They're going to play in Pittsburgh, but still.
He gets to play all the NFC North teams.
Oh, yeah.
So much fun. So much fun. Hey, JJ. JJ's here too. Pittsburgh got desperate. Pittsburgh got desperate, John says. Let me throw this out there. Yep, Jaws history. We talked about him for a long time, JJ. Sorry, probably too long. Sorry for Mark and David. That was my fault. But anyway, it finally happened. Jaire's out of here. Here's my banner for you. The tail of the tape. But I have kind of a wacky theory about the Steelers, because everybody was saying with this whole Rodgers thing, it's so un-Steeler-like. They never do this. They don't wait for people. They don't put themselves in this position. They, whatever. This is so un-Steeler-like to do it. And for a 1 year thing, right? For a 1 year thing. Such a weird thing. And they just went through a 1 year thing at quarterback, and it didn't work very well. And
so is that really that weird if they just did it?
Well, but this is different.
How?
Because they don't have a guy competing with another guy like they did last year, where it's two guys that were desperate and needed to show something, and they at least brought them both in to compete with each other. This is Aaron Rodgers' show, right? Coming in, doing whatever. Now, he did take a lot less money, hardly any money, right? So $13.65 million or something to that is his base salary, and then he's got incentives that could bring it up to $19.5 million. But still way less than he ever asked the Packers to pay him pretty much for the last, I don't know how many years he was on the Packers. But why did the Steelers do this? So I was thinking about this because some people are like, well, he's shown decline. He had some moments where he could still do stuff and throw the ball, with accuracy and push the ball downfield and make some plays and all that. So you're thinking one school of thought is they think, well, maybe he'll, last year was the year off the Achilles injury. So maybe he'll come back even stronger. Maybe he'll be closer to the older Aaron Rodgers from 3-4 years ago than he was, the Aaron Rodgers last year. Maybe he'll be better than that. Some people are thinking that might be the reason. I'm thinking the Steelers they looked at what's known. They looked at what's possible, and they looked at what's known. So what is possible is Aaron Rodgers could be better physically, feel better, play quarterback better, and maybe be really good and help elevate their team and make their offense better. And you put that together with their defense, and maybe you have lightning in a bottle and you contend. So they think that's possible in this move. And it's a pretty cheap move for that possibility, right? The known is, which if that doesn't happen, then the known is you just watched Aaron Rodgers go to the Jets, a team that was on the brink of taking the next step, and with all these young players and all this talent, and were competitive with garbage quarterback play. You just watched him go and dismantle the entire organization and blow it all up and tank it out. And the Steelers have been stuck in this middle ground forever. They never get a high draft pick because they're always win 8 games or 9 games or 10 games or whatever. So they're like, okay, maybe Rodgers will bring us to where we want to go. Or if he doesn't, he'll probably blow it all up, tank us out to the bottom, and we'll get a good draft pick, and we'll finally get to draft a quarterback again. And I think that's why they did it, because they know that one of those two scenarios is very likely to happen.
So what happens? So you think that if it's a tank job,
Mm-hmm.
that they'll fire Mike Tomlin or what?
Nope.
No, because the fans in Pittsburgh are sick of him.
I know, but I don't think they'll fire
Because everybody
him.
keeps saying how he's never had a losing record, but they haven't won a playoff game since like 2011 or something like that.
See, and that's what a lot of people think. That's why they got Rodgers, because it's like an upgrade, but not like a crazy upgrade where they're going to do so great and beat all the elite teams, but they'll probably make the playoffs and could maybe win a playoff game, and then that'll be over and people will stop complaining about it. But I don't think that's the case at all. I think they went for it to say he might be really good and could maybe get us up to, AFC Championship or really competitive. And if that doesn't happen, which there's not that high of a possibility of that happening, the inevitable thing that would happen is he'll destroy our franchise, destroy our season, and tank us out, and we'll get a high draft pick and the capital we need to go and get the quarterback we want next year so we can start all over with quarterback. Now, maybe they fire Mike Tomlin because they want a quarterback guru for the head coach. I don't know, because I don't think Mustache Guy is going to take a young quarterback and turn him into a superstar. But so that would be the reason they fired Mike Tomlin, though, not because they had a bad season.
Yeah. What's the Mustache Guy's name? Arthur Smith. That's his name.
Arthur Smith. Yeah.
We got to give him some respect. At least say his name one time. Now we'll call Mustache Guy the rest of the show. But yeah, so it's really bad mustache too. Like I don't know why.
Does that make sense? Do you think it's possible?
I think you thought way harder into this than the Steelers ever did. That's what I think.
I hope not. I hope they thought about it a lot more than I did.
No, I don't think they thought that much. They're just like, Aaron Rodgers, he used to be good, right?
He's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Is there anybody else out there? Kirk O'Chains we can get maybe if we trade something? And then we still got to pay him $40 million? Well, we can get Rodgers for 13. Let's do that. I think it was just that simple.
Think it was that simple? Okay.
Rodgers for 13.
So what's the most likely scenario? Aaron Rodgers comes in at that money. He doesn't think he can run the show like he did in New York, right? I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure they addressed that, didn't they?
Well, at least Mike Tomlin's going to have some clout as a Super Bowl winning coach.
Yeah.
And also a coach that faced him in the Super Bowl as well. So that's interesting, right? The one Super Bowl win that Rodgers has is against Mike Tomlin.
Yeah.
So that's something, but it's a lot different than Robert Saleh and the Jets. The Jets organization, for one, Woody Johnson was a mess, and the whole thing was a mess. Or at least the Steelers have a stable. Like, I don't think the Steelers will take any shit from them. Like, they'll be like, Rodgers, stop being a ding dong and, start following what's up. But as far as, I think it'll be, if it destroys the team, it won't be from the coach and the team as an organization letting Rodgers take over. It'll just be that he just doesn't have the same type of stuff, Like I can't imagine him and Mustache Guy getting along. Like there's going to be a clash of the Titans, or not even Titans, clash of the.
What if they both have bad mustaches?
They do. They both have clash of the bad mustache. That's what they should call it. Whose mustache is worst? That guy's probably going to win. But it's just I don't see it working. They're offensively. They don't have the talent. They got DK Metcalf and Warren.
As long as he gets his numbers, to DK.
Well, I don't know. Like, JJ's talking about getting Cobby into town to coach up the wide receivers. They could still trade the Jets to get Alan Lazard. I've heard a lot about that. They're like, the Jets don't want him. They could probably get Lazard for a piece of gum because the Jets don't want Lazard anymore. And then Rodgers can have his guy that he throws the ball to, and so forth. But I don't know. I really don't care.
To come over?
No, Devontae's at the Rams now, so that's the end of that. But
he doesn't want to leave LA. It's more about that than anything else. Oh, Mark's wondering how much you think Golden contributes this year. That's a good question, Mark. But I'm assuming he's going to get quite a bit of snaps. Watson's out. They need somebody to perform. He's going to get a legitimate shot to be, like one or two, probably in the top 2 or 3 in wide receiver snaps this year, would be my guess. So
yeah,
he'll get opportunities. I don't know exactly how they're going to use him because he's kind of similar in size and whatever to Jaden Reed and other dudes they have. Romeo's a little bit taller, a little different, and Watson's the one that's way different. But like the other guys are kind of all very similar, except for Millie Keith, who's just a monster, but he's not very fast. So I don't know, but you gotta use him. You gotta do something with him. He's got to. I think they will want to play him a lot to see what he's got, because it might help them determine who they end up, trying to sign back or give contracts to next year or in the off season. So I think you're going to see a good bit of him. What about Ben? All right, we'll go back to this. Mark says Rodgers was best when he spread the ball around. Yeah, he was much better than, if you go back and watch early Rodgers, it's way different than what we see now and what we saw towards the last 5 years in his Packer career.
He stopped spreading the ball around in 2015.
Yeah.
When he started just throwing to Jordy all the time. And then Jordy got hurt, and then he threw to Devontae all the time.
James Jones. Remember, he led the league in touchdowns that one year.
James Jones.
The hoodie.
The third wide receiver on the team had 14 touchdowns or whatever one year, because he just threw to him all the time. Which is fine. I mean, he was a good guy and stuff, but he wasn't a game breaker or anything.
Yeah.
But
all right, so let's finish on this, and we'll get back to JJ because he didn't get to hear all of our other Jaire stuff. Who signs Jaire, you guys? Where does he go? Cowboys, Vikings.
The rumor was that the Bills were trying to trade for him.
What?
The Bills, who don't want to have Rasul Douglas come back, they didn't sign Rasul Douglas back, but they're willing to trade for Jaire. So maybe he goes to the Bills, because the Bills don't have, they lost Rasul.
In the snow?
They don't have Tre'Davious White or whatever his name. He hasn't been good in years. That's what I was going to say earlier. I was like, I have a Madden. I have the Madden from the year that John Madden passed away, which is I think now almost going to be like the 4 years old, I think, or at least 3 years old. But on the loading screens, they always have the superstar X Factor players on there. And when you look at the superstar X Factor players from just 3 years ago, half of them are just gone or just not good. Dalvin Cook was a superstar X Factor player. That next year after that season, went to the Cowboys or whatever team he was on, couldn't even play. He's been out of the league all last year. So there's no reason to think that Jaire is going to come back and all of a sudden be good when he hasn't been good since 2020.
Right.
There's guys who have been good more recent and have fallen off the earth and disappeared. And they're not any older than Jaire is. Now they play running back, I guess, but still, Keenan Allen is on there. He's not a freaking superstar. Joey Bosa, he's an afterthought who's now with the Bills because he's always gotten hurt all the time. There's a lot of players who just 3 years ago were considered amazing, top-notch, crazy players because they had 1 or 2 good years and people thought they were superstars. And then injury and or just getting older cost them to not be the same player. And I think that's what we can say about Jaire. He got hurt. His mind changed on the field. He stopped playing aggressive and started playing passive. And that affected his play, and that affected him wanting to be on the field. But it sure as heck didn't affect his pocketbooks. That's the biggest difference.
Yeah. You're right. It's when guys get paid, it changes a lot for a lot of them.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
I don't care where he goes, as long as I want to play him. I want to see him. I want to run right at him. No, we don't need Jalen Ramsey.
Do you think if Kevin O'Connell goes to Aaron Jones, it was like, hey, what do you think? Should we get this
Jones
guy?
will say, Aaron Jones has never said a bad thing about anybody. Aaron Jones will be like, oh yeah, Jaire's the best. He's a great guy. Aaron Jones will always say nice things.
He's a funny guy.
Yeah. He'll say good things about him because Aaron Jones is a good guy. He'll never say anything bad about anybody. So you don't ever trust Aaron Jones because he's too damn nice. Trust a guy like me.
I don't think the Vikings make that play.
No.
I really do think the Cowboys seem like the best fit. That'd be pretty good. That'd be a great fit for Jaire and for the Cowboys. And then, yeah, it would be perfect fit. You can just be like all their other overpriced guys who are not that good, and it'll be wonderful. So I hope he goes to the Cowboys. Some people thought like the Washington might want him, but I don't think so.
Maybe, I don't know.
Did I see what?
Did you see Chris Sims' quarterback tier list he's got going on?
I saw a little bit of
Dak Prescott's like out of the top 20.
Woo!
That's saying something. He also has Jordan Love lower than Aaron Rodgers.
Oh.
Think about that, Packer fans that are Jordan Love fans.
Wow.
Chris Sims has Aaron Rodgers above Jordan Love in the tier ranking.
Wait, and Jordan Love is making $55 million and Aaron Rodgers is going to make $14 million?
Mm-hmm.
What?
He has Jordan Love at the same level as Kyler Murray, yeah. He calls them want to touch the high knees. That's his tier for them. Because he says they're almost there, but not quite. He says they have all the talent to be stars, but they're not. They're just not there.
Mm-hmm. Got to pay him like they are, though.
Yeah.
It's their first round pick of the pack.
And he has Aaron Rodgers, Brock Purdy, and Matthew Stafford in the tier above Jordan Love. And all of them are not in the top 10 players on his list. But Baker Mayfield is in the top 10 of his quarterback ranking. So take that, Mo. Some guys like me know when they see a quarterback and know that he's good. And that's me. And I know Baker Mayfield is good.
I was thinking the Vikings going for the big play right now if they had Baker Mayfield as their quarterback instead of Viking Mo, you could win a Super Bowl.
It's gonna be interesting to see the Vikings have a team, a Super Bowl team, and they just can't get the job done again because their quarterback is not the right fit for their Super Bowl team. That's the only thing that would have scared me is if Rodgers would have went to the Vikings. That would have scared me. Because
why? Because
there's too much talent around him that would have lifted his sorry ass up.
You don't think he would still tear him apart?
No,
he would be chill.
Because Aaron Jones would be there to freaking fix everything because he's too awesome. Aaron Jones will fix it all.
That's fair. Oh well, it'll be interesting to see. I don't know. It's funny to hear all these people like hype up all these moves. Like think they're such big deals when they're probably going to be literally whatever Jaire does is probably not going to impact his team much, and whatever Rodgers going to the Steelers is probably not going to change their fate much either. You know, they'll be competitive, maybe make the playoffs, maybe not, but probably not do much. You know, that's kind of the thing. And that's what they always do. They do that with no quarterback. So what's the difference, I guess? Except they'll sell a lot of jerseys and, well, maybe they won't. Because Steelers fans aren't really that jacked, are they? I don't know. It's a weird one. It's a weird one, man.
It is weird.
But what do you do? What do you do with all that? The Packers made a couple of good moves this year. Hopefully they keep some good guys coming in. And I don't know. I'm excited for Keyshawn. I'm going to give him that. I'm excited for him. Now he doesn't have this guy in the way anymore. He's ready to be CB1. He was ready to be CB1 at the end of last year, but self-proclaimed. And now he technically is CB1. So let's see him do it.
Well, the thing I like about Keyshawn is we know he's never taken plays off. We know he's working hard. We know he's like attacking on every play. Mm-hmm. If he gets beat because he's physically not gifted enough to make a play. And to be quite honest, no corner is perfect on every single play. That's like the hardest position in all of NFL. Like there's no doubt about that. Like we're not saying that Jaire is, terrible. He's just, first of all, often injured and he's not as aggressive as he used to be. And that's affected his play on the field, which makes him not very good. But when you're a corner, you have to take chances sometimes. And sometimes you're going to be wrong. But Keyshawn makes enough plays when he takes those chances that it stops drives. And that's something that's worth something.
For sure. I mean, that's ultimately it. That's the way the league has gone. There's not defenses that shut people down hardly at all anymore, right? That are like get you consistent 3 and outs and stuff. It's like, can you make a play? Can you make a handful of plays a game that help stop drives for the other team? So you get more possession opportunities in them or whatever. You just get put in better field position or whatever. Can you do that? Can you do that enough times? And that's kind of how the league goes. The other team's going to score points. There aren't any dominant, like stuff the run and shut down the pass defenses. It's just not even there. Even the teams that are good defenses, you'll see games where they give up like.
Oh, we lost you.
Wi-Fi. My connection
ya.
is
We
unstable.
lost you. We have teams that give up. Yeah, and they went like this.
You have teams that give up like 30 or 40 points, right? Some games. And that didn't used to happen with these dominant defenses, but it happens now. So you got to find guys that can make plays. You got to find guys that are consistent, and then you got to have a few playmakers that make difference making plays. And that's what, we haven't had in a long time. You talked about it last time. We were talking about Clay Matthews and how long you've been without guys like that. Chucky Woodson, the difference he made, like dudes like that, you got to have some. Packers, Keyshawn, he could make some plays. He's not Chucky Woodson, but he can make some plays here and there. Edrin Cooper can make some plays. You got a few guys that can make some plays here. So let's see it. And I want to see, God, I don't know what the deal is with these young dudes getting hurt so much in the rookie years, but like Evan Williams, come on, stay on the field, bro. We need you. He solidified so much on the back end, and he's a good tackler. That was the other key thing about Evan Williams, a good tackler. Packers need that.
Mark's talking about the Packers leading league in drops last year.
Oh, Mark.
That's true. Listen, I would employ anybody who hasn't watched Chris Sims talking about Jordan Love. They cut it out into just a 15-minute video of just him talking about his Jordan Love ranking on the One Touch to Heine ranking.
What did you say?
And, well, he talks about all the things that I talk about.
Uh-oh.
That, it was a drop, but the ball was thrown down at his feet, and the guy had to bend way down. He made it way harder than it should have been.
That's true.
He talks about him throwing off his back foot when there's not anybody within 10 yards of him.
Right.
He talks about him not taking the play that's there on 1st and 10 for a 5-yard gain and trying to throw, looking downfield when the freaking open slant is there, or the open play is there to get a couple yards on 1st down. He talks about all that stuff. And this is a guy who played quarterback in the NFL, whose dad was a Super Bowl winning quarterback in the NFL. So he knows what he's talking about. So if he's saying it, can you trust him and then believe that maybe I know maybe what I'm talking about? Maybe I don't know, maybe. Because I've been talking about it all last year, and I showed video of it. And people are like, Ben's an asshole. He hates Jordan Love. No. Ben's an asshole, but he wants Jordan Love to be better. That's the difference. You got half of that right. I am an asshole. But I want Jordan Love to be better. And he can be. That's why Chris Sims he can be better. He cannot have to throw the ball off his back foot for zero reason at all. Now, if you have that ability, sure, use it when you need to, but not when you don't need to. What's the point of that?
Right. Yeah.
And when it's 1st and 10, and then the other thing, it had Matt LaFleur on. There's a little clip for Matt LaFleur. It's in there too. So watch that. He'll tell you some other stuff. I'm just saying, Jordan Love has the potential to be something, but we paid him like he already was that something.
Yep.
And that's why I'm a little nitpicky on everything he does. Same way with Kenny Clark, same way with Jaire, same way with Rashawn Gary and everybody else who gets a high paid top contract. If you're paid to be a top guy, then you need to play like a top guy.
Mm-hmm.
You don't play like a middle of the road 15th, 16th ranked quarterback in the NFL when you're making $55 million a year. But he plays like a 15, 16 middle of the road quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
Can't do that. You can't
Same thing
win
with those other guys you just mentioned. Kenny Clark paid right up there, but what does his performance show you at like defensive tackle? He's definitely not in the upper echelon, I'll tell you that. And Rashawn Gary too. Rashawn Gary is making more than TJ Watt, for crying out loud. Like, come on.
It's just dumb.
Come on.
That makes no sense.
Come on now. Okay, so let's just be real clear before we go. We don't want Jordan Love to not be good. We don't want Jordan Love. Yeah, we don't want him to not succeed. We want him to succeed. It'd be great. But we're going to point out things when he's not performing at the level he should be. And 8 games does not a career make, or should not a gigantic contract make. So I don't know, man. Just we are creatures of the moment. We fall into that stuff. I get it. But like Jordan Love has a lot of things to improve on before he can be to the level he should be at based on his pay and based on what the Packers need him to be successful. So hopefully he takes the coaching. Hopefully he does his study. They talk about I think the most frustrating thing about all that, because most of his inaccuracy is because of his footwork, right? Because of his feet. Because most of the time they're not planted. So, but they talk about all the time about the footwork. LaFleur talks about footwork, and it starts with the feet, and Love talks about how they drill the footwork. Well, then where's the footwork in the game? Somebody explain it to me. And they watch all the film, like multiple coaches, including the head coach, are examining this quarterback and his play and his footwork on all these plays and the throws that aren't accurate. Like, how is this not corrected? How is this not emphasized? How is it not fixed? Like, that doesn't make any sense. So let's take the coaching. Let's be good coaches. Let's get his feet on the ground, step into throws all the time when you should. When you got a bunch of guys around your legs, then don't step into it. Fine. Then that's where you make your back foot throws and stuff like that. Just like you said. So I'm glad other people notice it too and have said it, even though I think Chris Sims secretly watches our show and then picks up a lot of good stuff to sometimes put up.
I don't think
he does. I think he might.
I don't think he has time. He's too busy smoking dopies.
Fine. Maybe his kid watches it and then gives him the nuggets, give him the nuggies. Could be the case.
Maybe. I doubt it though.
Okay. That's fair. All right. Well, what do we got? A couple comments before we go. Anybody else here? Oh, Lee's here. Will be a fly on the wall for Green Bay and Jaire negotiations. Then compared to where he goes next. Yeah. It's going to be less, I'm sure, or maybe not, definitely not more. Love has to get better between the ears. Okay. Yeah. He needs to see stuff better and just needs to, I think a lot of it is too is the mechanics. It's gotta be better. Lee's confident. Love will be better. Myers won't be getting blown up. We'll see.
Yeah,
Lee.
but Elton Jenkins isn't there. Who's going to play center if Elton Jenkins decides to hold out because he wants his money to be guaranteed?
Zach Tom, I guess.
I guess. I mean, the Packers apparently did not talk to Elton Jenkins before they signed Banks in free agency. The Banks free agent move is baffling to me,
weird.
Beyond all things.
Yeah.
It's been baffling to me. And then the drafting of Belton is even more baffling to me in the second round. When you signed Banks, you just drafted Jordan Morgan last season, and you already have Elton Jenkins, Jack, Tom, Walker, and Sean Ryan. Like, you didn't need another guy drafted. I mean, yeah, you've got 7 either top picks or good players on your roster at this point. And last year we didn't have that. I understand they're worried about injuries and such, but it was a weird move. The Banks sign was a weird move. The Belton drafting was a weird move. But like I said, it might be, maybe they're switching their philosophy to a more, tougher, beat you up instead of a quick and agile offensive line. They're going to be more of a smack you in the face and run you over offensive line, which goes better with Josh Jacobs' running style.
Well, he's only going to be around for a couple more years. I mean, come on, how much longer can he go? Not that long. So
he's really small.
I think it shows you. I think the Belton drafting shows you they're clearly not going to play and not going to pay Rasheed Walker. Right? He's going to be gone after this year.
Yeah, they'll let him go they'll probably get a decent, because he played so much. I think they get a pretty good compensation pick or whatever by letting him go. If they don't want to trade him, like, I still think they might trade him before trade deadline, but if they don't, they'll just let him go and get some sort of, compensation or 4th round compensation pick or whatever.
Yeah.
But who knows? We'll see. We got a long way to go before that even happens. So
yeah, well, all the things are happening. Aaron Rodgers wanted to make big news because there was some other big news going on, so he had to get his big news in there to try to take the news cycle. And then the Packers said, you know what? Screw you, Aaron Rodgers. We're going to throw some news out there on a Monday and take the spotlight away. And they did by finally parting ways with some small, expensive baggage, Jaire Alexander. All right, everybody, be good, stay good. Don't cry in your tears or your beers. Jaire's gone because he isn't that good anyway, and he only played half the games the last 4 seasons. So what is that worth? Not that much. All right, Packers will be fine. Keyshawn's going to be the man. Watch him have an all-pro season. Maybe they'll be smart and resign Rasul Douglas back. I don't know if he'll want to come back, but maybe he will if he doesn't have any other offers. Maybe you'll see him back on the field. You guys take care of yourselves. I think this Packers team, we'll find out what they're going to do. But a lot of young players are playing for big contracts, so hopefully that gets the best out of them. Talk to you guys soon. Be good. As always, stay good.